Who could have imagined that the final seconds of New Year's Eve 2026 would rewrite the emotional memory of an entire generation watching Chinese entertainment, not through fireworks or countdown chants, but through a single unscripted act that cracked open the illusion of control and exposed something dangerously human? Because when Lu Yuning stepped away from the safety of the stage lights during the nationally broadcast New Year's Eve Gala, the night instantly transformed from celebration into collective disbelief, and as millions watched in real time and thousands sat frozen inside the venue, he walked past the cameras, past protocol, and straight toward Zhao Lusi, whose presence in the front row had already fueled years of rumors, whispered sightings, and obsessive fan theories. Yet nothing could have prepared anyone for what happened next when he knelt before her and revealed a ring, detonating the silence into screams, tears, applause, and a level of emotional chaos rarely witnessed on live television, because this was not just a proposal but a rupture in the carefully guarded wall separating celebrity performance from private truth. And in that instant, the audience wasn't watching stars, but two people caught in the raw gravity of a life-altering decision. While camera operators scrambled, staff members reportedly panicked backstage, and social media platforms erupted with unprecedented velocity as Lu Yuning and Zhao Lusi's names shot to the top of trending lists within minutes, pulling in tens of millions of views before the song that preceded the moment had even finished echoing in viewers' ears. And as debate ignited across every corner of the internet questioning whether the proposal was authentic or engineered, the emotional evidence unfolding on Zhao Lusi's face told a story far louder than speculation, with her trembling hands, tear-soaked eyes, and visible shock becoming instant viral symbols of a moment that felt too vulnerable to be rehearsed, especially as insiders leaked that many crew members had no prior knowledge of the event, amplifying the belief that this was either the most tightly guarded secret in Gala history or a spontaneous leap driven by emotion overpowering strategy. And when contextualized against the long and complicated history between these two stars, years of denials, carefully worded interviews, coincidental appearances, cryptic posts, and fan-compiled timelines that read like emotional detective novels, the proposal felt less like a surprise and more like the final page of a story audiences had been subconsciously reading for years, because Lu Yuning, long respected for his artistic discipline and emotional restraint, had always positioned himself as someone who separated career from personal life, while Zhao Lusi, adored for her warmth and relatability, mastered the delicate balance of openness without confirmation, making this public declaration feel like a deliberate breaking point, rather than a publicity reflex. And when the ring finally slid onto her finger amid confetti, sobbing fans, stunned celebrities, and a venue that no longer resembled a controlled broadcast, but a living, breathing emotional organism, the moment transcended romance and became cultural shock, triggering conversations about privacy, pressure, authenticity, and the cost of loving in public under the microscope of fame, as critics argued whether such a proposal placed unfair emotional weight on Zhao Lusi, while supporters countered that love bold enough to face millions deserved respect rather than suspicion. And as media outlets dissected every frame and fans split between celebration and heartbreak, one truth became impossible to deny. No script could replicate the emotional aftermath that followed, with compilation videos, reaction breakdowns, and emotional essays flooding feeds for days, proving that audiences were not just watching gossip, but processing something that felt uncomfortably real. Because in an era where celebrity narratives are often sanitized, monetized, and predictable, this moment pierced through cynicism and reminded viewers why live television still carries danger, unpredictability, and power. And yet the shock did not end when the cameras faded to commercial breaks or when the gala finally concluded, because what followed in the hours and days after became an emotional aftershock of its own, spreading across fan communities, media rooms, and private group chats where people replayed the footage frame by frame, analyzing body language, tone, eye contact, and even breathing patterns as if decoding a historical event rather than a personal confession. And this obsessive replaying revealed something deeper about modern audiences who are no longer passive consumers of entertainment, but emotional participants seeking authenticity in a world oversaturated with manufactured moments. And for many viewers, the proposal struck a nerve knot. Because it was romantic in a traditional sense, but because it felt risky, imperfect, and uncomfortably exposed, especially when compared to the polished confessions and scripted declarations that dominate screens, making Lu Yuning's decision to act in such an uncontrollable environment feel almost rebellious, while Zhao Lusi's visible vulnerability shattered the carefully maintained expectation that celebrities must always appear composed, prepared, and emotionally bulletproof. And as industry insiders began quietly debating the long-term consequences of the moment, questions arose about how this would reshape both stars' careers, endorsements, and public narratives, because in an industry built on fantasy and projection, a confirmed emotional reality forces a recalibration of how fans relate to their idols, shifting admiration into something more complex, less possessive, and potentially more honest. Yet not everyone was ready for that shift, as some fans expressed genuine grief, not out of malice, but from the psychological unraveling of long-held emotional investments, while others defended the couple fiercely, arguing that love does not invalidate art, talent, or the joy celebrities bring to audiences. And this clash of perspectives exposed a generational divide in fandom culture itself, where younger viewers increasingly prioritize emotional truth and boundaries, while older systems still cling to the illusion of availability and fantasy. And as international media outlets picked up the story, the proposal became a global talking point, not merely as celebrity news, but as a case study in how live broadcasts can still disrupt controlled narratives in an age of delay buttons and content moderation. Because no algorithm could soften the immediacy of that moment or prepackage its meaning before audiences reacted. And in this sense, the proposal functioned almost like a cultural mirror, reflecting society's hunger for sincerity while simultaneously revealing discomfort with unpredictability. And even weeks later, as new entertainment headlines tried to reclaim attention, the image of Lu Yuning kneeling and Zhao Lusi crying refused to fade, resurfacing in unrelated conversations, symbolic memes, and emotional retrospectives that framed the moment as a turning point rather than an isolated incident, because whether one views it as romantic bravery or controversial spectacle, it undeniably redefined what was possible on live television, forcing producers, celebrities, and viewers alike to reconsider the boundaries between performance and life. And perhaps that is why the moment lingered so deeply, because it did not offer clean answers or universally agreeable emotions, instead leaving behind a complicated emotional residue that invited reflection, debate, and self-examination. And as people continue to argue about intention, pressure, timing, and consequence, the most enduring truth may be that for a few unforgettable minutes, millions of people stopped scrolling, stopped multitasking, and collectively felt something real, raw, and unscripted together, which in itself has become increasingly rare. And as history slowly settles around that night, it becomes clear that New Year's Eve 2026 will not be remembered for its stage designs or musical arrangements, but for a moment when control slipped, emotion surged, and two human beings stood exposed before the nation, altering not just their own lives, but the emotional landscape of modern Chinese entertainment. And if you were one of the countless viewers whose heart raced, eyes burned, or mind raced with questions as this unfolded, your reaction is now part of that history too. So share your thoughts, your doubts, and your emotions in the comments below. Thank you for staying with us through this extraordinary story. And don't forget to subscribe to 24H News TM for more in-depth coverage, emotional deep dives, and the moments the world cannot stop talking about.